The wind tore across the arid desert like a living thing, carrying with it the scent of dust, gunpowder, and distant danger. The sun was bleeding red into the horizon as rancher Cole Maddox rode alone through the lonely streets of Deadwood Crossing, his horse's hooves stirring little clouds of sand. He didn't speak to anyone anymore, not since the fire that had taken his brother and left scars deeper than the ones on his hands. Every shadow, every whisper of the dry wind reminded him of what he had lost. Then, in the fading light, he saw her, a woman, standing in the middle of the street, framed by the glow of the lanterns swaying in the saloon behind her. Her hair caught the dying sunlight like flames, her eyes wide, nervous yet defiant. She was breathtaking, mysterious, and something about the way she carried herself made Cole's pulse tighten in ways he hadn't felt in years. Her name was Alara Finch, though she said little. She had come to Deadwood Crossing with a purpose she could not yet reveal, hiding secrets that would put both their lives at risk. Her hands trembled slightly as she adjusted the wide-brimmed hat against the wind, and she glanced around, as though expecting someone or something to appear from the desert plains at any moment. Cole dismounted silently, his boots crunching on the gravel, and offered her a cautious nod. There was a quiet bravery in him, the kind that didn't need words. Survived things most men wouldn't whisper about. And yet the sight of her stirred something unexpected: curiosity, concern, a pull that felt dangerously like hope. "You're far from anywhere," he said, voice low, steady, carrying the weight of his years. "I'm passing through," she replied, her tone guarded. She wanted to disappear into the night, but something in the calm, commanding presence of the rancher made her pause. Over the next days, Cole found himself crossing paths with her more than coincidence would allow. She appeared in the saloon, ordering coffee and quietly observing the room, listening to conversations, her gaze distant. Sometimes he caught her watching him from across the dusty street, and each time their eyes met, a spark ignited between them, said restrained, electric. Cole began leaving small gestures, repairing a broken fence near her cabin, leaving a jar of fresh water on her porch, helping her gather firewood when the nights turned cold. Each act was a silent declaration of protection, and Alara, despite her secrets, felt a small measure of trust growing toward him. Yet she remained cautious, aware that the truth she carried could destroy everything in an instant. One evening, as the sun sank behind the distant mesas, painting the desert in streaks of crimson and gold, Cole rode out to meet her. The wind had died down, leaving an eerie silence, broken only by the distant howl of coyotes. They stood together near the edge of the canyon, the heat of the day still radiating from the rocks, hearts beating in tandem. "Slow down. I can't take this anymore," she whispered, voice trembling as she revealed the truth in fragments. The secret she had been keeping, the mission she was sent on. The men tracking her, the danger that lurked just beyond the hills, threatened to engulf them both. Cole's jaw tightened, his eyes darkening with resolve. He stepped closer, brushing her trembling hands with his calloused ones. "Then let me take it from here," he said, voice low and unyielding. He guided her, steady and unwavering, through the shadows, protecting her from the unseen threat that stalked the desert. In that moment, trust became action, fear became courage, and what neither of them had admitted, yet the undeniable pull between them, solidified into something more. The night unfolded intense, whispered plans and small brave acts of defiance. Alara revealed everything: the men hunting her were part of a violent gang intent on revenge. And her life, along with the fragile hope she carried, depended on Cole's protection. He did not flinch. He had faced death before, and he would face it again to keep her safe. By dawn, the threat had passed. The first rays of sunlight lit the desert in gold and amber, casting long shadows across the plains. Cole and Alara stood side by side, their hands brushing lightly, smiles tentative but real. They had survived the night, yes, but more importantly, they had found a connection deeper than fear or danger, a bond of trust, courage, and the possibility of love. As Cole led his horse down the path and Alara followed, the desert stretched endlessly before them, promise of freedom, hope, and new beginnings. Their story was just beginning. A tale of bravery, redemption, and hearts daring to beat again in the unforgiving Wild West.